What's going on, everyone? In this video we are going to talk about a few handguards for the MDRX and Wolverine rifles coming up. So right here I do have a few handguards that we can talk about for the MDRX and Wolverine rifles. These will fit on both rifles. My rifle is the MDRX. And right now I don't have a barrel in it. I had the Micron barrel in it. And if you are curious about that, you can go see that video and what's going on with that. But right now I don't have a barrel in it, but we don't need the barrel for handguard demonstration purposes. So on the rifle here, we have the factory handguard that it comes with. This is a polymer handguard, and it's a pretty decent handguard. There's nothing wrong with it. People do complain that it's not going to hold zero if you were to put a laser on there. I don't have lasers, I don't have night vision, so I don't have any issues there. So it's going to lock up solidly enough for me. It does have a cross pin and then two screws that it kind of clamps on. The screws and nuts kind of look like M-lock screws and nuts. So that's how it locks up. There's a hole here in mine because this is where the Picatinny section on the gas block goes. The barrel's not in here, so that's why there's a gap here. Later model MDRXs, but definitely the Wolverines, the Picatinny from the top rail here continues to close that gap because the newer barrels don't have the Picatinny section, which is nice because they got rid of that hand burner. I get the concept of it so that you could put a red dot on the barrel and it would stay zero to the barrel. I get the idea of it. What I have done to this handguard, I don't have the pieces on there, but I don't know if you can, how well you can see that on the end. It is kind of like augured out with, I used a Mo QD mount for the M-lock, so I just had to enlarge that hole just a little bit, and that's how I attached my sling to it. I just don't have it on here because I haven't been using the handguard, so that's why it's not on there. On this side, what I did is I gave it some notches, some square notches, so that I could direct mount a Streamlight rail mount 1 directly to the handguard instead of using an adapter to add weight and complexity. I can get it closer to the handguard and cut out an ounce of weight or whatever. It turned out really good. Factory handguard is really narrow and really easy to wrap your hand all the way around. Although I do use a vertical grip to give myself a hand stop. I use it as a hand stop and then wrap around. Okay, next up, and if you've seen my MDRX video, you know that I am not a fan of this guy. This is the Micron handguard. First of all, on the inside here, you can see these tabs. We don't have any screws on this one, so there's nothing to really lock into the rail here. All you have is this cross pin. I probably can't show you this because it's modifying a firearm, so fuck you, YouTube. It slides on, and then you have the cross pin. You might already be able to see one of my complaints. You have this big hole up top. They left that open so that you could adjust the gas block. But because this is so short, they easily could have continued this across the top, and you could have gone in from the end to adjust that gas block. The problem with this Micron handguard, short barrel makes me think maneuverable, close quarters makes me think you're probably going to need a light to light up dark rooms, dark corners, or whatever. Well, I can't find a good way to mount a light to this handguard. I know that there's ways where people have mounted it like off the side here, but it sticks way out and causes a snag issue because, I mean, you have a nice streamlined, then you got a light sticking way out here. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The other issue is when you attach a light to this handguard, since this handguard doesn't have those screws, it wobbles. It may not seem like a lot, but when you have a light on there and you're shining a beam out there and you're pushing on it, that beam is noticeably moving, and the farther out you're shining it, the more it's moving. I mean, even just shining it from here across the room, you can see that beam wobbling. It's quite annoying. I don't know what their thought was with here, what that hole is meant for. I've emailed them, I've asked them, they will not respond to me. I don't know if they meant to design a light to go in there, if they wanted somebody else to do it, or what. I have no idea. But they won't respond. If they did have a light that went in there and it could be actuated in a decent way, then maybe that could make this handguard decent. Otherwise, I hate this handguard. The ergonomics of it is not an issue. I don't hate that, although the nub that's on the bottom, I did get rid of that because that sucked. There's also no good way to like mount a tape switch on here, and what drives me nuts, and I don't see why this isn't more common, especially with M-Lock winning over Keymod. Why isn't there tape switches that can mount to M-Lock? There are a few out there, but most of them will require more than one slot of M-Lock, like 1.5 slots in order to mount. The rest of them mount to Picatinny. I don't understand. Like, there's a gap in the market, and if I was smarter, then maybe I would design one. I'm not that smart, so I don't. But that's definitely something that, I mean, steal this idea if you want. Like, I'll be a customer. I'll buy one. Like, give me a tape switch that mounts to a single slot of M-Lock. Yeah. So, not a fan of the Micron handguard. The handguard that I was using on my Micron was the ALX handguard. This is the Shorty. Again, I don't have all the handguards that are available for this. I know there's another company. I am not a fan of those. I don't remember the name of them, but these are from Black Label. I am a fan of Black Label. They make some good stuff. This is the ALX handguard, so this is just the aluminum handguard, and this is the Shorty version. So what I was doing with this with the Micron is I integrally suppressed it. So I had my YHM Turbo K drop down inside the handguard, and it looks fantastic. Here's a couple of photos of it, and you can see how streamlined it was. It made the package shorter and lighter, and I was pleased with it in theory. The issue is the heat from 5.56. I could get through 1 mag before this thing really started heating up. 2 mags, it's too hot to touch. It made the gun really usable, except for that heat. So that's why I am steering away from the Micron barrel. I don't know. I think I want a 20-inch forward eject barrel, and then I want a 16-inch side eject. The side eject allows me to use steel cased. The forward eject constantly jams. You can't run steel case with the forward eject. I have the Streamlight the Streamlight Rail Mount 1. This is a Strike Industries Shorty grip. I went with Strike Industries because it matches the color scheme a little bit better than the BCM. I put a hot pocket on here as well to try and mitigate that heat. It allowed me to shoot 2 mags through it instead of 1 before it heated up. But I can only get through 2 mags and then it's too hot. Unfortunately, it's just not going to work like that. But the ALX handguard, good handguard. Like it. They do have a longer version for you 20-inch barrel guys if you want that. It's got the same lockup of the cross pin and the screws. I do think that this one locks up a little bit more solid with it being aluminum. I think it's a little bit more solid than the polymer handguard. That brings me to my favorite handguard. I love this thing. This is the Black Label Mantis Bipod. That's what it is. The Black Label Mantis Bipod handguard. This has an integrated bipod built right into it. Now this is heavier than the ALX, but I really like the design of this. This is really cool. If you want something that can, like if you want a bipod on your gun, this is the way to go. I don't understand why I'm still seeing pictures of like bipods attached to it. I mean, I guess the only reason would be the muzzle device, because if you see the opening at the end here, you can't fit every muzzle device through this. Like sliding this on over the barrel, you can't fit every muzzle device through that hole. So I guess that would be the only reason to attach a bipod to the bottom of this one. But if you want a bipod, I think you should go this route. I love it. It turned out really good with this on there. Although it does add a little bit of weight, this is a little bit heavier. I might as well weigh it. Now, this one is stripped. This one has a light grip, hot pocket, the sling mount, and all that stuff. The Mantis bipod handguard weighs 16.3 ounces, and as this is set up, 16.86 ounces. So it is nearly the same weight, but it's also got a whole bunch of junk on it. And if I was running this, I would be switching most of this over to it. Like I would be putting the vertical grip, I'd be putting the light on here. Don't need the sling mount because it's got a QD mount on the side here. Light mounts, you might be curious to know how I mounted a light to this, so I might as well share it because it could help some of you out there. So here's the light mount that I used on this handguard. This is the Magpul polymer one. If you look at the profile of it, you can see that out here on the end, it sticks out and it's a little bit higher than the rest of it. So that is actually useful because of the wheel on the side of the handguard here. If you were to use a light mount like this one, it's a, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that, but it's an Arasaka and it goes flat against the rail the entire way. Not a bad light mount, but can't be used on this rail because of that wheel. That wheel sticks out. So if you use this Magpul one, and I get it, it's polymer. Have you guys really broken these? I don't know. Let me know. Have you broken them? I have never broken one, but I also don't throw my rifles on the ground. I'm not Sage Dynamics and dropping them from shoulder height onto concrete. So I don't know. I haven't had any issues. There might be some aluminum ones that would do the same thing, but this is the one that I use, and it bumps it out away from that wheel so I can still access the wheel from the left side and loosen it up and tighten it. It doesn't interfere with that. Keeps the light away from there, but also keeps it tucked into the rail tight enough. So I'm not sure I'm fond of the placement of the sling mount on here, but if I had to have any complaints, I think that would be my only one. Other than that, I absolutely love this handguard. This is my favorite handguard, like I said. You got the bipod legs that are quick and easy to deploy. I actually think that this setup is going to be really good. I never tried it with I don't think I tried it with this handguard and the 3X. But I had a 1-to-8 on here, and it was really heavy. Like, I think it was like 12 pounds. So it was a pig. It was also in the forward eject configuration, which adds a whole bunch of weight back here. You can adjust the bipod legs. And they do have a longer bipod handguard if you want that for the 20-inch barrels. That would be another good option. The legs would be longer, so you wouldn't probably have to run them out a lot less than you would with this one. Black Label also makes these handguards, the ALX style and the bipod, they make for the X95. Now, my X95 is the SBR version, so the bipod's not going to work for it. They do have an SBR shorty little rail that I may or may not get when I am not broke. They also have them for the Tavor 7. The Tavor 7 is on my list of wants. I just haven't bought it yet. But I think I'm going to get one of the Mantis bipod handguards for the Tavor 7 because the handguard on the Tavor 7 is not my favorite. My favorite handguard. They have 2 lengths of this handguard for the MDRX and Wolverine. They have 2 lengths of the ALX handguard. What we don't have here is the polymer long handguard from Desert Tech. I don't have any experience with that one. And there's that other company that I mentioned. I don't like the design of them. I don't like the looks of them. I think they're pretty ugly, but to each their own. Doesn't matter. You do you. And what do you think? Leave a comment below. Which one do you think you want to go with? So I'm hoping that helps you decide which handguard that you might want to try out. This one's not a bad handguard at all, so if you stick with this one, this is going to be the lightest and the slimmest. But if you want a bipod, this is the way to go. And YouTube, I paid for everything myself. I don't have any sponsors, and I'm not trying to sell anything, so go fuck yourselves. That's it for this video. We'll catch you on the next project. See ya.